Hey disco fans, Dan Gunther here. Welcome to another video. In this one I'm going to be talking about the comments on the last video and some predictions for the next episode and the season 1 finale of Star Trek Discovery. So the last episode, The War Without, The War Within, had some interesting comments. So Daniel Bertazon writes, I have been thinking about the mycelial network and why we did not hear about it in the other series. Of course, the real reason is that the other series were set in the past and this series is now. But what if the mycelial network is like the anomaly from TNG All Good Things, in that the anomaly was created in the future and it spread into the past? So what if the mycelial network was created by some alien race, or maybe the universe evolved and created the network sometime in the future? It's an interesting thought, and I think this leads into a lot of other interesting questions about what is going to happen to the mycelial network going forward. So obviously it's not a part of the Star Trek universe in later series, otherwise, Voyager could get home really quickly if Starfleet used the spore drive to get around. So I think obviously something is going to happen to make it untenable. We've seen some things so far. For example, in order to make the spore drive work, you have to either enslave a creature like the tardigrade, which the Federation is really not in the habit of doing, or you have to genetically engineer someone to serve as the central part of the drive, which of course is prohibited by Federation law. Now, I don't think this is quite enough to make it something that's not used in the future. So my personal prediction is that at some point there's going to be some kind of realization that using the mycelial network damages it, or maybe it actually does cause it to collapse. Much like how the Empire's use of it was disrupting it, we're going to find out that our use of it also damages it in some way, and in that way it could be a really interesting environmental metaphor, something that Star Trek does from time to time for sure. Daniel also has another comment. It sucks that Mirror Discovery was destroyed. It would have been interesting to see them, but there is a theory that some of them may have survived. Now that's an interesting thought. So what if the Klingons had taken captive maybe Captain Tilly of the ISS Discovery or another member of the crew? It's possible that there could be still mirror universe counterparts of people running around out there. That's an interesting thought for sure. Servaday writes, I really loved this episode, and the main reason for this is Admiral Cornwell. She already was one of my favorite characters in the first half of the show, and I was a bit afraid that we wouldn't see much of her in the second half, but I was hoping for the best. However, I could never have imagined that she would become such a prominent presence in an episode, and it made me really happy. Jane Brooke is an amazing actress, especially the scene where they arrive at Starbase 1 was incredible and very gut-wrenching. I agree completely on this point. Jane Brooke is really great as Admiral Cornwell, and it's not even that she's doing anything really spectacular or groundbreaking or really like showcasing anything. She just feels very real, and there's an earnestness to her performance that I really like. And specifically that scene you mentioned when they arrive at Starbase 1 and she's flummoxed. She doesn't know how to respond and freezes a little bit. That was a really well played scene, very subtle. And I have to say, I also really liked Saru in that scene where he quietly kind of takes command and orders Detmer to take the Discovery out of there. And Cornwell, recovers shortly after that, but there's no kind of animosity there. She's just obviously been through an emotional realization and as to what happened at Starbase 1. It's a really great scene and a highlight of that last episode. Stephen W. Fothery writes, I wonder if Lorelle will play an instrumental role in Cornwell's plan. Maybe she is the contingency to keep Georgiou in check somehow. It's a good thought. We know that Lorelle does play a role in the next episode. We see her in the preview for the season finale. So yeah, there could be some sort of something there that's keeping Georgiou in check. And I like the idea that she and Cornwell are working together somehow. Lorelle and Cornwell are, because I really like the relationship between those two. And I really hope we see more of that. So Kirk001 has a great comment. It's a little long, but I think it's worth it. Taryn Georgiou didn't give Starfleet a choice. Her terms for helping them win was to give her command over the Discovery. Also, having her in command all but guarantees she will carry out the mission to genocide the Klingons, unlike other Starfleet captains who would object to an attempt to wipe out a race of people. Based on the Vulcan Hello, Mirror Universe's destroyed Kronos, Lorelle's Conquerus line, and Discovery's mission to map out military targets and orbital defense satellites, I don't think the resolution is just taking out the planet's military installations. It all points to the only way this ends is to genocide the Klingon homeworld and leave it a pile of ash, setting up the philosophical/moral conflict between those willing to do it and those who believe the ideals of the Federation prohibit it. But ultimately, the only way to end this war is to wipe out the majority of the Klingon race, not just because of the moral questions it asks, but because it explains why TOS Klingons don't have the forehead ridges. Fans have complained that the Klingons on this show look too different from other series. Well, there was a lot of Klingon diversity until Starfleet wiped out 90% of the race, leaving only the non-forehead ridge folks who rise to prominence, and Worf's predecessors who are fewer in number and slowly rebuilding. It also explains why they're technologically set back to TOS era level. I predict Ash will go on to lead the non-forehead ridge Klingons to take over the Klingon Empire. Great comment, some really interesting stuff here. I really hope that's not where it's going. I think there will be that kind of moral question. I really hope it's not leading to, the Klingon homeworld getting mostly wiped out. I don't think that any kind of relationship would recover from that between the Klingons and the Federation. But it's interesting to see where your thoughts are taking you there. I don't think going forward in TOS that the Federation would have the moral high ground over the Klingons if they actually went through with this. But I do agree that that is the fight that's going to play out between the people who believe that that is justified in doing and the people who believe that that goes fundamentally against the Federation principles and they won't do it, which is the side that I think Burnham will be on, and she will argue that case and hopefully win. Jay Merck writes, due to the Federation's desperation, I think Sarek and Cornwall planned to blow up Kronos to win the war. I hope not. It's my hope that they hold the Federation principles true to the end. Another solution could be that somehow they can find a way to make Tyler/Voke unify the Klingons, because the only Starfleet way for the war to end is to unify all 24 competing Klingon houses. Yeah, I agree with that comment as well. I think that will be the fundamental conflict in this next episode, but I think ultimately they will not destroy the Klingon homeworld. And yeah, I like that idea of putting Tyler/Voke at the center of any kind of solution and bringing the Klingon houses together and making a kind of not a lasting peace with the Klingons, because we know that they do fight a war again in the original series, but to bring an end to this current war. Four-Wheeler in Florida asks, I thought it was an awesome episode. I would love to see more Discovery episodes. Why didn't CBS order 22 episodes like all Star Trek shows? Well, back in the original series, of course, there were a lot more episodes per season. I think season 1 had like 30 episodes. It's quite a few. And every series after that had generally 26 episodes per season, a few less when there was writer strikes or first season of Deep Space Nine and Voyager and later seasons of Enterprise. But yeah, 22 is kind of the norm for network television shows these days. However, Star Trek Discovery is kind of a different beast. There's a lot more money being put into the show per episode, which makes the run a lot shorter. Personally, I kind of like the shorter run. It means that there's more quality in those episodes. There definitely aren't any filler episodes in season 1. And, I really do love all of the other Star Trek series, but let's be completely honest, there were filler episodes in each of them. Ones that, maybe weren't so good, maybe some bottle shows here and there to save money. And I mean, bottle shows can be really good, but a lot of times there are episodes that are maybe less than stellar. But I kind of like these shorter 15-episode seasons. It allows them to really drill down on this story and focus on the main aspects of it without any kind of filler. That said, would I like more Star Trek? Obviously, yes. But if the quality is this good and you have to sacrifice a few extra episodes, I'm not going to complain about that. I'm pretty happy with the quality of Discovery, and I like where the series is going. And finally, Everything Trek comments, do you think season 1 will end on a cliffhanger? Well, I really kind of hope not, but I have a feeling that it is going to, just because that seems to kind of be the pattern these days. I would love there to be, you know, just a nice bow wrapped up on this series, tightening everything up and leaving us no remaining loose ends and just going into season 2 fresh. But I think that that's not how it's going to go. I think there will be a cliffhanger of some kind. Hopefully not a really major jaw-dropping cliffhanger. Maybe something a little bit more minor than that, but yeah, I do think there will be a cliffhanger. So how about you guys? What do you think is going to happen in the season finale of Star Trek Discovery? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank boldlygo.ca for helping to support the channel on Patreon. It's very much appreciated. Thank you so much. If you'd like to help support Kertrats Productions, visit patreon.com/Kertrats. Thank you to everyone who has supported me on Patreon, and to everyone else, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links are all in the description below. And you can like this video if you liked it, share if you feel so inclined, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for more videos from the Star Trek universe. Until the next video, and until the season finale of Star Trek Discovery, which I'm really excited about, live long and prosper.